Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to my page. I'm an Ascension guide. My name is Ellen Red. I teach on alchemy. I teach on ascension, multidimensionality, twin flames, and lots of other spiritual subjects from telepathy to starseeds, you name it. And today I'm coming on to work through a little bit of energy for the collective in relation to the disconnection and disassociation to the womb energy of the collective. So whether you're masculine or you're feminine, there is a feminine aspect within each one of you, which is related to the womb energy itself, and therefore the energy of creation. And as you probably know from following me over the years, or if you're new here, then you'll know that one of the things that we're doing as we go into the new age, to the new timeline that we're stepping into, the time of light now, the what do we call it? The days of the dawn. And we are in the age of enlightenment. And because of that, we need to bring light to that which has been hidden from you for centuries and thousands of years. And one of those is the feminine aspect of God, which is woven into all of creation. But over the time in the history of humanity, there have been some nefarious things and people who have interfered with your knowledge of self, ancient knowledge. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, is some ancient knowledge in relation to the womb energy and how it's connected to your soul and what's happening in the spiritual community and why so many beings are still very disconnected, even though they're going into the new age kind of teaching. So we're going to cover a little bit in relation to the new age deception and how it's also no different really than your Abrahamic religions that you are saying that you don't like. So as we're stepping out of that and we're going into the new earth paradigm and we're moving forward in the days of enlightenment, there's a lot of beings still that are still very disconnected to their womb energy. And because of that, they are creating the same cycles of karma and the same cycles of distortions and weaving it into the collective of humanity. And so, well, now you know how the matrix got created. It got created by people who are speaking on things that they don't really have a spiritual connection to Gnostic teachings and to the deep understanding of their own soul's design. And your soul's design has to do with your womb. It has to do with the womb of creation, which is how everything that is manifest now got created through womb energy. And so that's what we're covering today, is we want to go into the deep distortions around spirituality. And I'll give you an example that I just had happen to me today, where a woman said to me, "Oh, that's not very divine of you. You're not acting like a divine feminine." So now we're putting those patriarchal ideals and constructs around the soul again to tell the feminine how she's supposed to behave and how she's supposed to act, because that feminine isn't connected to the root of who she is. She doesn't have her primal codes activated, and she doesn't know, how to connect to her womb. And because of that, she's now projecting again these patriarchal constructs around the feminine energy of how a feminine or how a spirit is supposed to behave, which again is coming from the mind, and i.e. the patriarchal perspective. So when it comes to actual expression of the soul expresses what the soul's highest vibration is: authenticity. This has actually been proven scientifically. So it's not positivity that brings you in the highest vibration. It's authenticity. It's truth. It's you being true to yourself. That's the highest vibration that there is in the universe. And that doesn't mean that you always have to be positive, because what is positive? Sometimes it's perspective. One person's perspective of what's positive is different than the other's perspective of what's positive, and that's not authentic. What's authentic is you expressing what you feel, what you're saying, what you think. You have to move it through your whole chakra system till it expresses outward. in the core of the truth of who you are and what you're feeling and thinking, and that's why you're saying it. So again, connecting to your womb, the core, the womb, the root, the rawness of who you are, the primal rawness of your being, and being able to face it, whether it's dark or not. And usually it is at first, and you have to move it through your chakra system, and you have to face it, feel it, and move it forward until you can express it. And preferably by the time it's come up here through the heart chakra, you've been able to transmute it so that when you're expressing it, it's in a balanced way. But putting conditions around people in the way that they express because you don't like it, because it bothers you or triggers you, that's not in alignment with the spirit at all. It's a two-way street when it comes to love, where one's trying to express and the other's trying to receive what they're saying, and you're both trying to figure out if you're loving each other. Well, some people are and some people aren't, and you have to recognize when it's love and when it's not love. But you also have to be able to hold space for that person to be who they are authentically, and not to wrap cords around them to box them up into your perception of what's actually spiritual or not. Because again, true spirituality has to do with you being true to yourself. And as you're being true to yourself, well, what is the self? Being true to the high soul. That's the key. There's a lot of people thinking that they're being true to their self and they're actually being true to their ego, and that's going to be a whole nother lesson for them later. But until then, we wanted to bring in a little bit of light language for you. I wrote it down. Kiana Hoora ayatu, Kiana Hoora ayatu. And so this is connect to your root, connect to your roots. This is where the core of your primal instincts are. And if you cut yourself off from that because you're over here trying to live up in the mind by how everybody thinks you're supposed to be as a spirit, and you're not connected to the root of who you are, you have a discord energetically, and now you've disconnected from the mother energy, which is a very bad thing for you and for everybody else. And now you're back again in the old typical paradigms of putting all these ideals around how it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like, as opposed to you being really genuinely authentic and you being able to face what it is that you're seeing, feeling, and hearing and moving forward. So again, it has to do with the laws of creation, the creation codes, and the mother codes of creation that are woven into your soul. And this is Gnostic teachings. This is the Gnostics have taught about this. The ancients have taught about this. This is ancient knowledge. This is alchemical knowledge. And so you have to watch that when you're moving around in the world, because a lot of people are going to keep trying to, even in the spiritual community right now, they're going to keep trying to move that other direction, as opposed to merging the masculine and the feminine together within you. That has to happen to everybody on earth at some point. So whether they're ready for it or not is a whole nother story. But if you are working through your own spiritual evolution and working towards ascension, you really want to make sure that you're merging the masculine and feminine energy together within your own self, because it has to do with you being able to feel the dark stuff, to go into the womb of it. Have you ever given birth? I know that a lot of you haven't, but for the feminines out there, have you given birth? And you know that when you're in labor, when you're carrying the baby, even in the baby's in gestation, it's not necessarily a fun thing all the time, is it? You have a lot of pains, you have a lot of cramping, you have all these things that are going on in the womb while this whole entire thing is being created. This being is being created out of you, and it's not always pretty. And so that's part of the womb energy, is that you have to go in there and you have to feel it and you have to understand it and face it and work through the labor of love through your body, so that when you finally do express, you're expressing your truth and you're hopefully expressing it with love. And then it's up to the other person on the other side whether they're going to receive that and they're going to be able to receive it, because now you're going back into the receptivity mode, which is also part of a feminine energy too. Masculines and feminines need to learn to be able to receive now the information without rejecting it, because that's what surrender is. So you go into surrender on the receptivity side. It's a very interesting dynamic to start to implement into your life every day, because it will really start to help you balance the masculine and feminine within you by simply looking at those two factors. One, how are you expressing? Are you really facing your truth, or are you all up here in the discombobulated light and love arena, not able to face your raw, authentic truth that comes out of that womb energy? And on the other side of it, when you're receiving, are you able to surrender and open yourself to receive what the other person is expressing? Or have you blocked your mind and you're too busy focused on ideals and boxing everything into a package of how it's supposed to look? Both of those two areas are going to keep you very disconnected spiritually to your own soul and to others that you're trying to have relationships with. I hope that this helped. My name is Ellen Red. Again, I'm a psychic medium, an ascension guide, a twin flame coach, and I teach on all kinds of spiritual subjects. You're welcome to reach out to me at ellenred.com if you'd like to go deeper or you'd like some personal one-on-one assistance. And until then, I'll see you on the next one. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.